Coming up next, the next session which we have is training and professional development, the key to 21st century success. For this session, we have two panelists, and the first panelist which we have is Dr. Kamal Kishore Sharma. He's the former Vice Chancellor, Acting Dean, and then Dean and Professor at Sanyal University, Gurgaon. Dr. Kamal Kishore Sharma is an MBA University Gold Medalist and Fellow of IIM Ahmedabad. In a rich career span of 24 years, from a management trainee in 1989 to a young CEO at an MNC subsidiary abroad, he has worked with prestigious range of organizations, viz. Public sector, Indian Civil Services, and UN Arms, reputed Indian and foreign universities and MNCs, and dealt with challenges across a wide range of corporate functions. He has been duly felicitated with coveted awards and recognition through his career. Welcome, sir. Yeah. The next on the panel, we have Mr. Shekhar Sanyal. He is the Director and Country Head, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, better known as the IET. So I would like to invite Mr. Shekhar Sanyal. In this session, we'll have a presentation from Dr. Sharma first, and then from Mr. Sanyal, and then we'll have Utkarsh moderating the session and taking questions from the audience. Sir, may I have a round of applause, please?
Good afternoon, dear educators, enablers, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kamal, as has been explained by my friend, thanks to him. And I represent Sanyal University, currently look after the School of Management. And this context I want to emphasize here, because just yesterday the Times of India has come out with its 2015 rankings, and apart from the 200 business schools that they ranked, the schools have existed for more than 5 years, there is a list of 10 emerging schools as well, where the age of which is less than 5 years. Along with a few of the newer IIMs, we also sit there. I happen to manage that School of Management. Coming to the context, training and professional development, the key to 21st century success. Such a broad topic, I thought, in a 10-minute window, it would be very difficult to throw light on every aspect. So I thought I'll cover the introduction, what I mean with training and professional development, why there is a need, and then what 21st century characteristics do we live in, what challenges are being thrown, and what should we be worried about. So training and professional development, basically it's about formal and informal learning. Formal learning could come back in terms of a product as a certification, a degree, a formal coursework, and then you have conferences like this and the informal learning opportunities that you have. The objectives there being lifelong learning, sense of moral obligation that I want to learn more than what I have already learned in my life, maintain and improve professional competence, career progression, keeping abreast of new technologies, and sometimes as a pressure from regulatory organizations that you should be this much, otherwise I'll not allow you through the gate, something like that. If you see the underlying argument there being, it's about the profession. It's less about continuing education till the graduate or postgraduate stage, but it's more about professional education. And professional education, if I have to sum up in one line, it's about becoming better than yesterday in order to contribute more than yesterday with the organizations that you're working. It could be an education organization, it could be a corporate organization. How it has been done traditionally so far, if you'd see case study examples, consultation, coaching, practice, lessons, mentoring, and sometimes a higher order reflective supervision and mentorship, technical assistance for the things that you get stuck on. What has happened during the current times? What are we grappling with? When we say 21st century, what are we talking about? To my mind, I just collated these as I reflected yesterday evening, and some of this could be debatable. Some of you may not agree to it, but I started with that the desire to be the best, the quest for position, money, and respect is that it's extreme, and such an extreme that people would be ready to take shortcuts in order to get to the next level. Technology itself is changing so fast that you talk of light, you talk of energy, you could talk of communication, you talk of medical equipments. Even my younger kid today demands only remote control cars. He's not satisfied with normal cars. Static knowledge, you would have seen the editions of books changing too fast, or the books are going out of consideration set at all. The libraries are shrinking. The traditional books have given way to digital books. The role of teachers has gone up, and I want to specify this. Sometimes when people ask me who am I start by introducing myself as a teacher. The next leg of communication will only happen if I see the person is having some respect for a teacher. Traditionally, the problem has been that the best have not come into teaching. And now I'm not talking about exceptions. 5 or 10% exceptions would be there. But what are we in the process giving the responsibility of shaping future generations to a group of people who have unwillingly joined the profession? While this has gone up, the demand for good teachers has gone up, the supply side, the education has exploded. You would have seen 3,000, I'm from management field, I can talk about 3,300 management institutions. A good number of private universities have opened up. There are public universities, there are standalone colleges, unaffiliated colleges. At the end of it, the demand for teachers have gone up, but the supply of good teachers is too little. So we are dealing with this problem, a challenge in the current times. Awareness and competition leading to specialization, differentiation. The consumer behavior is also changing very fast, and hence the markets are responding differently to different stimuli, and hence the corporates have to think differently. The same old paradigm of normal input-output relationships don't work today with the current corporates. The services sector, look at doctors, teachers, unless they keep abreast, unless they keep writing, unless they keep publishing, unless they keep going to conferences, there is something amiss in the excellence or the differentiated positions of these people in the services sector. Shortage of practical experience in the class. Today the corporate wants everybody to be delivering from day one, but our current education system does not cater to that. It's still mostly around books, and some of the newer institutions which have borrowed more from technology have been borrowing more from simulation, case studies, audio videos, and industry connect. Online is the way forward. This is a paradigm shift that we are looking at, and a little while back Utkarsh was also referring to most of these things. What is this paradigm shift? So you have the online platforms which are complementing the current traditional ways of giving education or imparting education and training. In some ways, they are doing three things. They are augmenting the existing option. They are widening the access. So yesterday, if I didn't know how to get taught by a Harvard professor, today it's much easy, and it comes free of cost. The cost of education has come down significantly. Just have a look. Just doing a simple Google search and just one website, it throws open the different ways in which the entire classroom experience could be changed by borrowing from technology. Something about simulation which I keep delivering for senior management across India, that it's a tool which is less used because it is very costly today, but the best of management institutions have graduated on, and every subject is having a simulation tool. What it does is it simulates the actual business environment. Obviously, the first level effort is coming from the technologies, the software writers, and the industry experts who come together and try to define all the input-output relationships, which is then becomes an algorithm which is run with a team of individuals. It could be run with individuals, it could be run with teams, and then these differentiated role and responsibilities are given to each members of the group. They can be rotated for taking different responsibilities. So a company is run. So today, if there are about 15 tables here, in an actual simulation, the entire audience or the participants would be running 15 companies and taking all the marketing, operations, finance, HR decisions right then and there. And after every quarter or every annual cycle, depending on the algorithm, you tend to see your decisions and the effect of that in a context of the competition. So it's not what you think that by reducing the price, the demand will go up. Somebody else would also have reduced the price, and hence how do these competitive factors play in? That's the power of simulation that is brought into the class. Over the last 3 years, the prices have come down by more than 1/3 of what it was 3 years back, and it's still going to be coming down more. And so I see a good role of simulation going forward. So now the issues that we need to address. Anything that we do around professional development by having online or a distance mode
instead of Internet of Things. I don't know whether you can see it, but I'll just read it out to you. So they're saying 2013 on the left-hand side is what the current state of education in 2013 is, and 2017, hardly 2 years down the line, how things will change because of Internet of Things. So now, right now, physical attendance with teachers is what is right now. Scale teachers and best quality of instruction by any device anywhere is 2017. One-time instruction in one location is what's happening now. Scale content, recordable and replicable instructions anytime, any venue. This is also something that we heard in the last section that we talked about. Static linear content with low control, because it's all from one side. Learn at your own pace, focus on relevant content, only richer, and interactive content. Then costly instructional resources, but one size fits all. Because you're creating costly instructional resources, you can't have customized one, so you create a one size fit all. And access to crowdsourced content, so not just the person who is being the instructor doing it, but there is more and more content which is coming from across the world, and ability to customize curriculum. And finally, ad hoc decision making, which just now we talked about, to database decision making. So which is all going to change the way education is imparted. Now, I talked about Internet of Things. Let me tell you a bit more about the scenario of Internet of Things, right? So possible outcomes out of all this is a digital degree. One of the challenges which will happen is, if you look at currently the way organizations work, end of every year, there's a performance cycle which happens, performance measurement happens, and the last 25% of those people are put in a performance measurement plan, and if they don't perform, they're asked to leave. What's going to happen in the future is the market is going to do that, and it's already probably happening with the universities and educations of higher learning. If you do not perform, if you do not produce the kind of people whom industry wants, if they are not able to be skilled in the right way or do not get jobs, the market is going to drive you out of the business. It's just going to take you out. And it's going to accelerate as we go forward. So therefore, the need to make that change and make sure that you're up the learning curve is extremely important, not just for you as an organization or an institution, but for the people who are within that institution, the teachers, the managers, the management, everybody around it. And over a period of time, the second layer of universities will find it very difficult to be financially viable. Because what they do not offer, so learning is there, but what they do not offer versus, let's say, a MOOC, is the interactions with a certain set of intellectual capital which, let's say, a Harvard would offer, or a MIT would offer, or Oxford would offer, or a Cambridge would offer. So those institutions, which are the Ivy Leagues one, will still remain. They will still remain because you not only go there to learn, but you also go there to set up your network. You also go there to link with a certain set of people which serves you right through your life. But after that, it's just what you learn. Once you take that bit out, then it doesn't make a difference whether I go to a university which is a brick and mortar one, or I go to a university which is online and digital and gives me so much more out of it, as long as the certification and the value of what you get out of the learning remains the same. And that's where we are moving forward towards. So unless you move and adapt yourself to reach and try to make sure that you are part of that digital learning curve, you will keep, as we go on, more and more universities will find it difficult to be financially viable. What it will also lead to is uniform and global courses. Therefore, global benchmarkings will become a norm. Because I can go to a university on my mobile phone and get similar kind of stuff, then why would I come to you? Unless you are of the same level. And finally, their outcome of that is need to invest in technology continuously and professional development. Now, as example in case, I'm going to take the IoT. So if you look at where the IoT is going, the predictions are that by 2023, there will be 39 billion connected devices globally. And in India alone, we'll have 1.9 billion connected devices which will work on IoT platforms. These are huge numbers, right? By 2023, not too far off. And if I were to say how this will work for us and how will it work for the industry, if you look at that, the most conservative estimate of the IoT impact is 4.5 trillion US dollars, out of which 2.5 trillion dollars is only from the devices and the actual services that they offer. And another $2 trillion is for the ancillary support services that they will offer. And this is the most conservative one. The normal ones are about 7 trillion US dollars. Now the question I want to ask you is, if there is going to be 1.9 billion connected devices in this country, who is going to manage it? In 2023, are we creating enough number of skilled manpower in our higher education system to be able to manage this, what's going to happen in another few years? Are we even thinking about it? And this is just one industry that we are talking about. And this is where technology, thinking about technology, what you need to do around technology, what's the new trends, keeping up to speed. And some time back we heard somebody saying one of the challenges is, and a couple of times is, that the students are higher on the learning curve around gadgets and technology than the teachers are. What are we doing around professional development for our teachers and professors to bring them up to the curve? Because these are realities. The industry is there. 4.5 trillion is huge numbers. No, you cannot just turn a blind eye to that. So the industry will work, and if it cannot get it from this set of higher education system, it will get it from somewhere else. So it will need to work. So if you want to be part of it, there is just one industry, and there are multiple such things which are coming up. The last one which I want to focus on is also around how the education is imparted, whether it's online, digital, technology, non-technology. If you look at this model, which is quite popularly known as the Kirkpatrick model of measurement of learning, there are 4 levels around this. Level 1 is reaction. Do you feel good about what you're learning, whatever you have heard? Level 2 is knowledge. Have you learned whatever has been taught to you? So if I turn around and ask you that these are the things, can you reply back? Most of times, that is where our education system finishes. So we do an examination, we ask you whatever you have learned in the last year, can you reproduce it to the best of your ability, and we see whether you have gained the knowledge of doing that. The third level is behavior. Behavior and application, if I may say so. Can I apply what I have learned into actual real life situations? And am I adept at doing that? And the measurement around that. And finally, which is why the industry keeps saying that we don't get industry-ready people, we don't get people who are ready to work with us, is because results. Does this behavior and application actually create results for the final user? Now, unless we get those last two steps in the way we teach, the industry will constantly be saying that we are not getting the right set of people. Now, few things. For example, I work with an engineering organization, so I'll talk about engineers. Teachers, professors who are in the engineering institutions, is it mandatory for them to get industry experience? If you are going to produce industry-ready professionals, do you have yourself created an experience for yourself working in the industry? So if you have not done that, how are you expected to teach? So there is no mandatory way of getting professors to actually spend a specific mandatory certain number of hours working with industry. And add to the fact that Dr. Sharma said was the fact that a lot of them are coming into this profession not because they want to come into this profession, but because of lack of choice. And it's a continuous degradation cycle, because I get a set of people who come in here because they don't have choice, and then they train a set of youngsters from whom another set of people come into it who don't have a choice. So it's a continuous degradation cycle, and unless we do something to break it, it's going to create huge amount of hollowness in the system that we have. And there are multiple variable systems which is available with technology available. The students of tomorrow will not have to depend on this system. They can go anywhere. So unless we correct that system here, they will just go away somewhere. As I said, tomorrow, if we are not ahead of the learning curve, it's going to impact us. So that's what I wanted to say about the need for continuous professional development and why it is so important. What we have done or are doing in one area that we are doing from the IoT side to try to manage that, we've looked at one credit course which we are doing on IoT because it's so important. With few universities, we have started a pilot which is industry run and academia supported, and most of it is done offline not from a remote learning perspective through various mediums. There is a certification need. We are again talking to a few places where there is need for certification around project management around IoT. There's 1.9 billion devices. Who is going to manage all that? And finally, there's a work on MTech degree on IoT, which we are doing. Now, we won't run this because we are not an educational institution. It will only get run by educational institutions or online courses. But we are a not-for-profit. Our idea is to support engineering, so we'll continue to do this work, and we'll do that. So that's few of the things we are doing. I'm sure there are lots more. The people around this room can put their head together and do a lot more around this. But all I'm saying is we need to be ready to move forward. So we're ready to take any questions after this. And thank you.
As we can see, there are few people in the audience who want to ask some questions.
Yeah, this is Dr. Divedi. I would like to ask one thing. Is there industry-driven academics is viable?
So can you elaborate on industry-driven academics?
Yeah, as you have stated, like academics is lacking somewhere to produce the engineers at par with the industry. So is it required that industry-driven academics would be viable in Indian system?
You want to take that?
Mr. Sharma would like to take that question, I guess.
All right. Am I audible? Yeah. Well, you argue the other way around. Is there any place for educated people if they cannot be absorbed by the industry? Industry as a customer will always drive because they are the people who give jobs and to which is the end product, the result of the end product of a certain education or a professional development exercise. So at the end of it, is the learning happening just because somebody wants to learn? Or is it because they want a job or a vocation in order to support their
Education is
future?
only meant for job or other than job also?
Yeah, I said both the things are there. Is it only meant for, that's the question to you, you can draw a line anywhere There could be 20% that
How
my
much
take is-
industry is contributing in research?
Pardon?
How much industry is contributing in research?
That they may not be doing because industry is there. The industry is there for profit.
Education is only to get a job
Can I
in
just
industry or getting adjusted in
No,
industry only,
as
or
I-
education
as
is
I-
something?
As I said, there cannot be a one brush fits all policy around education. So you can't have that, it's only for jobs or it's only for higher pure research and stuff like that. Your education system should be able to encompass all kinds of outcomes. Now, with the way across time is, a larger percentage of that, because you need a livelihood, you will
See,
have to
we do
provide
not
them
have,
the skills
we do not,
to be.
I think, what is my perceivedness?
Yes,
We do
please,
not
yeah.
have the mechanism like US or UK doing. They are just identifying the skills at the school level and they are trying to nurture like that. We are lacking on that.
Of course we are lacking.
So that's what you
Thankful
said.
to
You've given the
IT,
answer.
thankful to IT system, because IT industry has given a boom in India and they have created a lot of job. That's why we are somewhere. We need that kind of jack. We need that kind of jack, whereby our professionals can be accommodated. What I feel.
You have given the answer yourself, right? We are not doing what US guys are doing there. Actually, the industry is identifying the skills at the school level and investing there. We are not doing that. So eventually, going forward, we'll be driven by what industry demands from us, from the education.
Yes, the answer is, I'm Admiral Rao.
Yeah.
We had this issue of liability of our students, and we hired a consultant. And then he gave us a proposal for creating an so-called ACE, Automotive Center of Excellence. Well, it went on for a couple of months, and it was all industry-driven. When it came to the crunch, they wanted 15 crores. Then there was another communication IT firm, which again give the figures like what you did, sir. How many, million connectors and connections and mobile phones and what about towers and all that kind of thing. So many jobs will be there. But when it came to the crunch, so many 100 crores. And the students will have to pay so much of fee. As it is, my student, my child, can hardly, more than 50% of them cannot afford to pay what they're paying. Like you said, cost of education has gone high. And on top of that, if I say, please pay so much also, I think it's, so this so-called the industry-driven education, well, my little practical experience has been, I think it's a non-starter. Just to answer, well, you may have different views or somebody else has. For us, it was a non-starter. And we closed the doors for that consultant.
Okay, so just one more addition to that. We have seen researches that talk about that the initial expense of the corporate world into the trainees, the training exercises as you enter the organization, it ranges from 3 months to 6 months to 12 months on the job, rotation and everything. By the time the real value of that person working for the organization is coming out. And that goes into hundreds of crores and thousands of crores actually. There are numbers available. I guess that was a FICCI or ASSOCHAM exercise. And eventually what the argument is being driven at is that if you could do that at the college level, there would be less expense over there and more productivity because the readied people would then start delivering from day 1 or say day 13 or say day 27, right? But not day 127, 363, something like that. Right. So there is a space for industry to come and partner both at research level as well as identifying the skills or adopting institutions from where they'll pick up their major interns from because they are exactly doing what they require. If something can driven, for example, the aggregator organizations can bring these two different microcosms closer and drive a bridge between them. I guess there is a lot of business space also there.
So let me just add.
I'll take a small brief comment on what you said, sir. I think industry is trying to pass this burden to the education, and I think it's not fair.
Yeah,
Industry itself should spend on research.
Correct. I give it.
But to pass it on to the educational institutions, I think this, for their own whatever gains, etc.,
So-
I think is a little unfair.
As
And
pa-
sir, one more question,
Sure.
if may I ask. We started with this quality of teachers. The people who are joining education are not the best.
not
This-
all of them.
Not all of them. You said very well, just 10, 15%, whatever. And it's not their choice to be in the field of education. So that's a big challenge there. Now, technology which is expanding, leapfrogging, whatever. Now, to get these people to come in line, like I conduct courses, I invite you to my institute, you'll be there for 3 days, 5 days, make them aware of what's happening, they should fall in line. But the man is not motivated. He's not the best for education or for technology. So for challenge for me is, how do I carry it forward? How do I take him with me and bring him on the same level or board so that I can keep pace with what you're saying? So is there would you recommend something which can be done to carry these people who are not the best? This is not their choice, but still I want to bring them to this level.
So, sir,
Would you
as-
like to say
Yeah,
something, sir?
Sure. As the IET, the Institution of Engineering and Technology, that's one of the prime things that we work on. So I might be able to tell you a few things. One of the things that we see working is to get these set of people together with a set of people who are supposedly the guys who are ready for this. So more and more interaction that you create between these two set of people, the more number of people cross over the fence. So one of the things that we see work is getting these people together more often, getting them to talk to each other and creating mentoring systems which will allow one set of people to emulate the other set of people. And so that it's not an easy job. It's not something it is a systemic change. It will take time, but it is something that seems to be working in small measures. The other bit about the previous one, which both of you talked about, industry, academia. See, again, as part of our work, we constantly bring academia and industry together at various platforms and get them to talk about exactly this, because one of our stated remits is to act as a bridge between academia and industry. Now, it seems to work very well in the UK, where we have got all the top universities, engineering universities in the UK working with large number of corporates and creating a lot of work. But it does not seem to work in India, and most of the times, just like you have got certain challenges with industry, industry seems to have certain challenges with the Indian academic system. And one of the challenges they keep talking about is accountability. So they keep saying is that one of the things, because we are an industry and we have certain profit and financial considerations, we would like to have the academia understand that we cannot be something which does not have finite goals and ends. But they find it very difficult when they work and research, and more so because research is like that. You cannot have very strong finite goals, but that's where the clash and the friction starts happening and it starts breaking down.
I might have a debatable opinion on that. See, on one hand, if by choice you have taken a calling for being an educationist, then you should be willing to go with the market, go with the technology, bring in the skills that are required in an ongoing manner, whatever is required to be delivered in the class. If you are not there, if you are not willing to do that, by having done an MTech or a PhD at some point of time and after that you have put a full stop on your own learning process, then my liberal economics opinion comes into play. I say, you shape up or you ship out.
Yeah, but additionally, I think what challenge most organizations would have is if they ask them to ship out, they have nobody to fill in those gaps. So
technology.
So therefore, technology comes in. Yeah, absolutely
Technology.
right. Absolutely right. Now,
Yes.
the other bit about the previous industry academia, because it's very important, which I may say, while you talked about the fact that industry is unwilling to put investment into new areas, but they want you to invest in it. I think one of the things which needs to be explored is keeping your status quo in the other areas and then building something over it is something which might not excite industry. But getting them to invest in completely new things. So if you are taking money from a student to teach him the normal courses of engineering and then saying that industry will fund the additional part of it, that might not be exciting to the industry. But saying that I'll change that completely and you fund only this part of it might be something that could be explored and talked about. I feel that they might be more excited about it than currently that I will do it this way.
Let's take more questions.
Sorry to cut you down. We are running a bit short on time. I would suggest that we could take this discussion at the break time and carry it forward. And because we have other panelists waiting as well. So thanks a lot, Mr. Sanyal and Mr. Sharma, Dr. Sharma, and for this insightful session. I would like to call Mr. Utkarsh to please felicitate Mr. Sanyal and Dr. Sharma. A big round of applause for them, please. Mr. Shekhar Sanyal.